Hi everybody, my name is Peter Cecile. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you about working as an international student in Canada. So one of the things that you have to know about working in Canada as an international student is that if you have a study permit in Canada, you don't necessarily have to apply for a different kind of work permit to be able to work in Canada with, study permit, any kind of, course that you're doing, whether master's or PhD or undergraduate student that you are, you will be able to work 20 hours per week just using your study permit, right? But when you come, you will have to get a social insurance number to enable you to work those 20 hours per week. It is not advisable, to work above 20 hours a week because you can run into a lot of problems with the immigration when they find out that you are working more than 20 hours per week. And in terms of whether you'll be able to save up for tuition using that 20 hours per week is all up to you. It depends on how much your tuition is, because you still have things about feeding, accommodation, and some other things to sort out with working part-time as an international student. It depends on whether you have family support or not. So there are lots of factors that usually determine what you have to put in place while working as an international student. So those 20 hours per week, it can be in different kinds of job. For example, it can be working on campus, you can be working as a teaching assistant, you can be working as a research assistant, you can be working as a graduate assistant. So the difference between these two is that mostly as a teaching assistant, you can have the opportunity of teaching, right, as a student, maybe taking tutorials for students, depends on the job responsibility. And as a research assistant, it might not necessarily be, relating directly with students. It might be, let's say, there is a particular project that is, that the particular professor is doing. You can become like a research assistant and be helping that particular professor or whoever that needs that help, as far as they're going to pay, as a research assistant. You can also work as a graduate assistant to assist in one or two responsibilities as the case may be. So the types of jobs that you can get on campus is, it depends on the university where you are. For example, there might be in the library of your university, there might be some part-time positions that are available there. There might be some cafeterias that are employing some graduate students, and then there are also the student union in your university. For example, if you're an undergraduate student, you might have the undergraduate student union, and then as a graduate student, you might have a graduate student union in your university. You can work part-time there, and mostly, let's say, as an executive, right? So this is now kind of entering a little bit into politics, right? There are some of those associations. For example, I acted as a Senate representative. I wasn't paid, per hour. It was just like a per semester kind of very little stipend that they give to you as a non-executive member of those associations. So just check out your association if you really want politics. So this is very optional. For those that like politics, you can apply for an executive director of this, maybe student life, and then they actually pay really good money per hour, right? And then another third way you can work is working part-time outside of your university. Okay, now if you are working part-time, if you're working in the university, mostly you can work as many hours as you can, not necessarily that 20 hours, but if you are specifically jobs on campus, okay, it might not be really restricted like that. But once you go off campus to work, then you really have to consider a lot of things, right? What kinds of position can you work, and how many hours can you get, right? For example, there are lots of easy jobs you can get as a cashier, right? There might be some positions in the mall, for example, some grocery store like Walmart, Home Depot, Target, Winners. There are all of these, No Frills, and some of these, retail stores. Those are I would say those are the most common jobs that students do. Working as like a retail cashier, right? You don't necessarily need any experience to get jobs like that, because they are going to train you on how to do those jobs. Another kind of job that you can also do is a home care or a personal aid, as the case may be, right? But it depends on the province, right? There are some provinces that require you to get certifications before you can work as a home care assistant, right? There are some other province that will just require to probably get, like, at least like a 1 year experience working in a home care, facility, as the case may be. Even though you're taking care of your grandparents, that is basically what they're going to be doing, right? So that kind of job involves basically going into mostly people's homes and taking care of them, right? Some of them might be very sick, some of them might not be really sick. It's just for you to give them their drugs, and maybe help them with shower, help them prepare breakfast. So it depends, right? I used to do that kind of a job when I was doing my master's, so it depends, right? You are basically going to be assigned a different client, most of the time. So you have to find out, for this client, what do I need to do, what is required, right? So I think they really pay well, for the most part, but you must be ready to stay idle, or alone for a very long time, because if you have like a 6-hour shift, sometimes you might not necessarily be able to have conversation with the person, right? And sometimes you might be able to take your laptop and maybe be doing some work. It depends, right? There are some people that really require you to be present and be there watching them. You cannot necessarily be doing other things. And there are some of them, if it is like a night shift, for example, where you have to just stay there and watch over our children, especially some of these families where they have maybe their father and the mother, they are not together anymore, they go for visits, so you stay like overnight. So when everybody is sleeping, right, you can use your laptops, right, for jobs like that. Another job that you can do, it's like this kind of warehouse job, maybe a company that are involved in stocking products. You can also work in places like that. And some of these grocery stores, they also have work that you can do in a warehouse as well, right? So you have to find out how much they pay, as the case may be. You can also do security jobs as well. Some of these jobs, especially, they know that international students, that they need the money, of course, right? And you can actually get trained on the job position. So just apply anyway, and then begin to build your experience to suit that particular thing that you want to apply for. And then, like I already mentioned, I talked about night shifts. If you want to work, you can also do night shift as well. Depends on your schedule. So how much is the pay? It's not $100 per hour. It's not $1 million per hour. So with that, it's not even possible. So most of the time, they pay really above it. Some of these cashiers, most of them pay minimum wage, and minimum wage differs, depends on the province, right? So you have to find out, depends on the province, how much are they offering. And then some other positions might pay a little bit more than others. So I can't say which of them is the best paying jobs. So what you can do is to, when you go for your search, I did a video before on how to search for jobs. You can watch that video, and then you can check on prices and see how much they're offering for that particular type of position. Another thing that you can also think of is make sure you think about your timetable, right? Your timetable and your class schedule, right? If you have classes, let's say, especially for research students and for those that are doing thesis or undergraduate students, so know your classes. If, for example, your classes are Monday, Tuesdays, and Fridays, you don't have classes on Wednesdays and Thursdays, you can actually work like 8 hours, as the case may be. But overall, the working for that week should not be more than 20 hours, so that you don't run into trouble. And then for research students, this is very, very important for you to know. If you are required to be in the lab from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. for most of the research program, Monday to Friday, so you can't do an outside part-time job during that time. You can work in the evenings or on the weekends. But overall, those workings should not still be more than 20 hours per week. So think about your schedule. For example, when I was doing my master's, I couldn't even, it was like maybe towards the closing when I was not writing my thesis, I kind of had some more time. I was able to work on the weekends. It was so intense during the first 1 year that I couldn't even think about a job, right? Because I had stipends that was really able to sustain me, so I didn't really want to stress myself about that part-time job. But there are some other students that had that kind of flexibility and they were able to work. So it depends. Don't say this student is working so day I'm still going to work that particular day, right? So think about your schedule, know how your professor work. If you're a master's research student and your PhD student, think about your schedule. I would usually have an understanding of how your project work, right, first before thinking about job. I wouldn't just recommend as a research master's or PhD student, an international student, to just come and then in the first month I just try to find a job, right? Because it might be too stressful, because you first need to understand your work schedule and everything, right? And then another way you can actually work is doing some side hustle. These ones are not tracked, right? There are things you can do online. I'm going to be talking about this in a separate video, the kinds of job that you can do online that you really make cool cash. Nobody is going to question how many hours you spend. If you spend 100 hours work doing some online thing, nobody is going to question you. Some of them might not necessarily be taxed as well, because they are not necessarily part of the income that you are going to be reporting when filing your tax. So it's kind of cool money, right? So that's that for now. So if you have any question regarding working in Canada as an international student, drop a question in the comment section. I will try to respond to your question as soon as possible. All the best in your search for work, and remember, don't work more than 20 hours, and then remember and learn all your schedules and everything before thinking about work. And I wish you all the best. If you want to learn more about how to find jobs in Canada, there's going to be a link in the description in the previous video that I've done on how to set jobs for Canada, how to structure your resume in order for it to be competitive. And then if you want to apply for a job that require experience and you don't have experience for that particular kind of job, what are you going to do? Once again, thank you for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing to my channel so that whenever new videos are released, you'll be the first person to get notified to watch my new videos. I'll see you in the next video.